baby, I like to roll. Yeah, baby, I like to roll. This is the Ezra Walk and Talk. And this past weekend, we had Regis Prograis make his debut on the Zone and Matchroom versus Zorilla. In a fight that didn't have any excitement going in it, didn't have any excitement during it, and didn't have any excitement after it. But nonetheless, you'll notice one thing this weekend that don't usually happen after a boxing weekend. There was no yells for a robbery, no yells for corruption, no yells for, oh, they need to fix this. This is why people don't watch boxing. There was none of that. Why? Because no one really cared about the fight. And to me, a person that never yells robbery, right, hardly ever talks about how there's not corruption in boxing, at least not as much as people try to make out to be. I'm yelling robbery. Because even though the fight was boring, even though no one cared about it, that doesn't mean that the result doesn't matter or that the events that happened in the ring could just be disregarded. I scored the fight for Zorilla, and I thought that the best outcome for Regis was a draw. That was the best thing it could have been. But even if you scored it for Regis, you still have to admit that it's a robbery. And you're gonna say, how the hell can I admit it's a robbery if I scored it for Regis and he won? How is that a robbery? It's a robbery because the scorecards had Zorilla either winning no rounds or winning 1 round. That's the 2 judges had that scored it for Regis. So he was never gonna be given a chance in the fight. So even if you scored it for Regis, and even if you're a biased Regis fan, there is no way that you think Zorilla only won 1 round or he didn't win any rounds at all. And we're not even getting into the fact that he landed a knockdown that wasn't counted. But hey, that was a hard one to see. He fell into him. Easily could have been mistaken by the ref. But we're not even counting that. It was a robbery. And I always say how the corruption really isn't that big in boxing, but I will say that in Louisiana, it seems that corruption still exists. Beyond the fact that we had a robbery this weekend and Zorilla should have won. And I get that, people don't care about Zorilla, so that's why there's no outrage to it. We also have to point out that this is 2 times now. We have Josh Taylor versus Teofimo, and you have Regis Prograis versus Zorilla, where the 2 top guys at 140 pounds are just completely confused and stopped and have no answers that someone can move around the ring. Someone that is good with their legs. Someone can reset their feet quickly. This is 2 times. And you have to start going back and looking at the 3 top guys at 140 pounds over the past few years. And it just so happens to be Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor, and Regis Prograis. And it just so happens that their styles are all pressure, get on the inside type fighters. And then you start looking at their resumes, right? You start looking down the track record, and you start seeing there's not a lot of high-level boxers that they're facing. Not a lot of guys that are good with their feet that they face. I mean, I'm hearing names like Tyrone McKenna as an example. I'm hearing Iman as an example. And the Iman is a pretty good example, right? With Jose Ramirez. How did Jose Ramirez beat him? Iman can box. Iman is a set and shoot type boxer. See, not all boxers are the same. Not everyone's style. They're so diverse with your styles, right? Iman doesn't move his legs, doesn't work off his going backwards, and actually has a mistake of going straight back. And against a guy like Jose Ramirez, who's pretty fast with his front foot and kind of sprints at you, really took advantage of that and made Iman often fall back into the ropes. Now, the one few instance where Iman did move around the ring with his jab, Jose Ramirez had no answer. But for some reason, Iman couldn't keep that up. I don't know if that's a little boxing IQ or maybe he just didn't feel comfortable with it. It would pull it off in spurts, but wasn't good enough to do it consistently. I'm not saying the 140-pound division has been, exposed or wasn't very good, because I think these are all 3 very high-level fighters. But I do think there is a style and a type of fighter that will give all 3 of them trouble and probably eliminate them from being competitive in the fight. And that are boxers that are good with their feet, that are good at adjusting, can move backwards, can work moving backwards, have fast feet. These guys have no answers for it. And that's everything that is coming into the 140-pound division, especially with the introduction of Teofimo, the introduction of Devin Haney, soon to come Shakur, right? Fighters like that, they're gonna move around the ring. They're gonna keep their balance, or not gonna just let you bulldoze them. And sometimes guys are just fortunate. I always talk about this. Timing is a really important thing. And with a guy like Josh Taylor, who ended up becoming the top guy at that division, he is very fortunate to face a style, not run into that style. And it happened to be that the top guys in this division were mostly come forward pressure fighters. They allowed him to get in the range that he wanted to. Now with the introductions of these guys, of the new 140-pound pack, I don't expect these guys to be competitive with them. And then honestly, like Josh Taylor going to 147, it's probably the right move. This has been the Ezra Walk and Talk. Please like and subscribe.